Okay, good evening. Jacqui and I are here to talk to you tonight about social emotional learning and supports that we offer in the playground as well. So I'm going to start from the perspective of the senior side, and then Jacqui will talk about the junior side. There obviously will be some things in common, but there are obviously some things that are a little bit different as well. So in the senior side, there are a range of things that we actually do to support students with their social emotional learning, and I'm going to touch on three main areas. So firstly, we have a fortnightly cell program, which is covered in all year groups, and the year groups cover a range of different topics during those fortnightly sessions. So just as an idea, in Year 7 we cover things like resilience, friendships, we do some mental illness, and we also do some work on cyber bullying and things like that as well. In the Year 8s we cover things like their digital footprint and cyber work as well. We cover managing their mobile, their identities, relationships, communication, those sorts of things. In Year 9 they will also cover what their purpose is, goal setting. They look at mapping their online life, so there is a consistent theme of some things right across all years. They do some work on their personal projects as well as a lead into Year 10. Year 10s will work on personal projects at times. They'll also do leadership, they'll be managing emotions, mental health, those sorts of things as well. So as I said, that's a fortnightly time set aside, about 50-minute sessions every Friday. We also have a very strong pastoral care system, so every student has a pastoral care teacher. They see that pastoral care teacher every single day, sometimes for long sessions and sometimes just for a 10-minute check-in. Those pastoral care teachers are their point of contact for social and emotional health as well, checking in on their well-being, someone that they can talk to if they need to, and they have that same PC teacher all the way through their 4 years at school, providing they stay at school and the teacher stays at school. So it is that common, consistent person that they can touch base with and that families can actually communicate with as well. We also have obviously numerous extracurricular activities for students as well to try and support them, and some of those may be just so that they can get success, so things like sporting competitions, even academic competitions. We also have debating, band, those sorts of things. We also have a very strong student engagement team, and they can also support our students in a number of areas. So we have a flex space that we have at the school, which is a flexible learning space. So for some students that might be not managing quite as well, whether it's emotions, whether it's mental health issues, whether it's friendships, whether it's academic progress, we have flexible options for them to be able to get more one-on-one support in our flex space in our library. And some students spend more time there than others. Some come in, touch base and leave again. Some it's just a check-in, but that's also there to support them. We also have things like our youth worker will organise some special programs which also help. Things like social skills programs, we also have stress down programs, we have students going out into the community, Belconnen Community Centre, and engaging in things that really interest them to try and keep connectedness as well. So there's a whole range of programs in that regard. And we also have, through our student engagement, we have regular Students of Concern meetings where we look at any responses to intervention, whether they be around their social and emotional health, whether their academic health as well. So they are every Monday where kids can refer themselves, staff can refer them as well, and we look at a whole range of things that we can then do to support those students. So that's a range of things that we do up in the senior school. On the playground, a little bit different for us. So the main things that we have to support during break times, we do have some clubs that run at lunchtimes. So kids can go into, we've got STEAM clubs, we've got garden clubs, we've got anime, those sorts of clubs as well. And the kids really do like that as a place to go, a safe place for some of these kids that do find it difficult out onto the playground. And we have teachers that have opened up some rooms as well at lunchtime that kids feel very safe in going there as well. So they're our main things, apart from the usual of having executive teachers and teachers on playground duty and knowing who to go to if there's support there. The other thing that we do have is just some of our cell program is about whole school things as well. So we get involved in the National Day for Bullying and Domestic Violence, against bullying and domestic violence. We also have done work with reconciliation, where we've had buddy groups that pair up. So you might have a Year 7 buddy group and a Year 10 buddy group. They've been very successful this year. We've had NAIDOC Week activities, and obviously the Johnny Shannon talk that we had today was really important. And the other thing that I did want to mention is at the start of the year we also spend additional time in their pastoral care groups to get to know each other, to build relationships, to just strengthen that bond as well. So there's some of the things that we have as far as the senior side is concerned, and I'll hand over to Jacqui.
Thanks, Sam. Sam sort of covered some of the things that we do on the junior side as well, because of course as a whole school we do have that whole school focus around days such as the National Day of Action Against Bullying and those sorts of things. What I wanted to talk about this afternoon or tonight is our CEL program is actually geared slightly different than the senior side in that we're actually teaching fundamental skills to our little poppets. So when our students start here, they come with a range of experiences and knowledge and backgrounds, and sometimes for some of our little poppets we have to do some explicit teaching about how they need to be in a social environment. So we use first and foremost, of course, our IB learner profiles to actually teach those explicit how to be principled, how to be caring, how to be respectful, etc. But of course then we're actually teaching what we call self-management skills. So that's the ability for students to actually self-regulate themselves without an adult around them. On the playground, this often creates actually quite a challenge because it's a little less structured than what it is outside. So we use our CEL lessons to actually explicitly teach this. So we use a Friendly Schools Plus program whereby we explicitly teach with their classroom teacher every week skills such as how to recognise their own self-emotions. So how do I feel when I'm angry? What are my early warning signs, etc. How to actually recognise emotions in other people, because sometimes if we haven't had that opportunity to see how someone else feels when they're angry, we might respond in an incorrect way. We might look at how we can be reflective when issues happen and actually start to build empathy and tolerance towards other people, because we all come from different places. We also like to teach what we call social awareness, and that's understanding the diversity of people and their backgrounds, because as we know, schools are a massive culture where lots of different people come in from lots of different areas, and sometimes they actually come in with a different value set. So we're actually teaching social value sets. What is the norm? How do we actually interact with each other? And how do we contribute to the society? So how do we contribute to our classroom society? How do we contribute to our school environment? And then of course, how do we go beyond that? So that is something that we explicitly teach through classrooms. We also look at how to develop self-discipline, how to actually, if we think about our 4 and 5-year-olds who join us on the junior side, sometimes that ability to have some self-discipline when they don't want to particularly do something or don't want to share, we have to explicitly teach some of those skills. And as I said, we do that within our CEL lessons. How to build and maintain healthy relationships. Often when we have issues on the playground, it is because relationships break down and communication just doesn't happen. So how do we maintain those friendships? And what happens if, oh my goodness, Sam wants to play with someone else and I want to play with Sam? So we have to actually unpack that. We do that through role plays in classrooms by using rich literature to actually unpack a story. How did that character cope with that? And then come up with our own strategies around that. We also look at the social decision making. So how we as one person contribute to the greater society, but how we can together have decision making, how that being collaborative and cooperative with each other is a really important skill. And as I said, some of our children that come have challenges within that. We use a positive reward system on the site where we're actually looking at ensuring our children are safe, respectful and learners. That starts within our PBL structure, and I know that we'll be doing more sessions about PBL and how that actually interacts. Sometimes it goes pear-shaped and we can't help that, but what we can do is work with students one-on-one around how to restore those relationships. We do restorative conferences with students, and that sometimes is the most effective way to actually build an understanding of empathy, of understanding where other people are going, but also trying to rebuild relationships. That is normally done by playground teachers. We have up to 8 to 10 teachers on duty every session out on the playground. We also have trained our Year 6 mediators, so they are also able to help with some of these conversations, so that before it blows up, we've actually got someone being intervened. As you are probably aware, we have our environment centre where we actually have just our K to 2 students, and that area is really designed to be an interactive loose parts play area where we're explicitly teaching how to share equipment. Sometimes it works, and when it does, it's fantastic to watch. That area we opened up last year, and it's been a huge success in that we're engaging students in successful and positive play. So our mediators actually man that area, so there's additional people in there. They wear the yellow vests and tell all your little ones they're the people you go to when you have a problem before it gets big. We also have some students who on the playground becomes too chaotic for them and too loud. We have last year implemented a sensory room. Our sensory room is a room up at the front office that it has low couches for children, it has a couple of games, Lego. It's a quiet area where sometimes when we may have flipped our lid, it's a place that you can go and calm, that executive support that room, and then we actually do the explicit unpacking of when events happen. Our students are all told that that room is available to anyone at any time. So if there's an issue on the playground, we obviously encourage students to actually try and problem solve. If that doesn't work, there are teachers on duty to talk to. If we're still not feeling safe, that sensory room is the place that they are allowed to come. We've also used that sensory room as a social skill building room where we've had some students 2 at a time, sometimes 4 at a time, to actually do some play that is structured, where an adult actually sits and we discuss how to take turns and share equipment and what happens when we lose and those sorts of things. Obviously that's a case by case thing that we do, and that's to recognise that every student that walks in this door comes with their own background, and sometimes we have to teach explicitly some things. Sometimes we put some students on what we call playground passports, and that's where they're actually asked to stay just within an area so that we can help. It's sort of like a next step if something's gone wrong, how we can support them. We also offer, the same as senior site, a couple of clubs, and we encourage some students to actually actively go to those clubs. It might be a technology club, a reading club. I think we've got a craft club. We've got a whole range of clubs. A construction club. We've got a meditation club. We've got a range, and we've tried to. Our teachers volunteer for that. That's their passion. So if I have a passion of yoga, then that's what I would do.
Do you have a passion for yoga?
Do I have a passion for yoga? No, I don't have a passion for yoga. I'd like to. Yeah, so they actually run that off their own bat. It's not a duty, it's actually what they do additional to the duty to allow students to have that something different to do. We do recognise coming into a school with over 600 children on the playground that there are times that soccer games are World War IV. So we also work with students about giving them some student agency about how can we make sure that the rules of our game are safe, fair and consistent. So we do that within teams as well. So from our perspective, our playground is another teaching environment. it's a learning place where we have an opportunity outside of the classroom to do some explicit teaching. And we know that if we do that explicit teaching, as they progress and then go up to senior school, then the focus can change. But for us on junior side, it really is around fundamental social skills and self-management skills.
And I guess as
questions.
as part of it too, I mean, the restorative approach is also done in the senior side. It is carried through, so there are consistencies right across the school. Ours are done with the staff, with the students. We don't have the same mediators that are on our school, but they're highly successful with our students, the restorative approach. And the other thing, I guess, apart from the learner profiles that we also have the approaches to learning skills, which are part of our International Baccalaureate framework as well. And so explicitly in all of our classes, we are teaching them about communication skills, we are teaching them about social skills, and we are teaching them about self-management, and that is done right across all the faculties in the school as well. So that's ongoing.
Questions?
I've got a few.
Okay.
Before I do, can you just check the video again? I can't see the comments. See if anybody's asked anything online. You said the mediators. Did you say Year 6 mediators?
Year 6, Year 5 and 6 mediators.
Are they students?
They're student mediators, and the students actually volunteer to do that. They're trained with one of our teachers into how to do conflict resolution. They're not... they don't walk out with a mandate of strictness. They're there to help problem solve and be another voice.
Sounds good. And are they like on duty all the time, or do they take shifts or something?
They take shifts.
Yeah. Okay.
They take shifts. They volunteer throughout the week for when they're available. So there's 2 on every session, I believe, in the environment centre.
Okay.
Where the loose parts play is.
What else did I have? The sensory room at the front office, does it get much use?
It varies. It varies depending on a whole heap of reasons. Sometimes teachers are very good at being proactive around recognising early warning signs, where our poppets don't recognise their own early warning signs. So we actually use it as a proactive strategy to create success for that student. Is it used all the time? No, it's not. And I would not like every student to come.
Yeah.
Or 700 would be quite insane. It is there for a specific purpose, and that is for students who are overwhelmed by the business of the playground.
So all students can use it, because I was under the impression that only certain students were allowed in there.
All students have access to it, but it's a process of teacher, executive, or, as I said, if something's happening on the playground and a child's not feeling safe, they can come up. But no, it's not a playroom. Does that make sense? Yeah.
The clubs that we were talking about, so are they on the junior side too?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
There is a timetable on the door out there, I think.
And generally, I don't know if in the junior side, but in the senior side, on our daily notices, there's reminders for the kids that are read out over the PA system regarding what's on.
One of our most popular is Dance Club with Miss Bennet. Everybody loves Dance Club with Miss Bennet.
And that they are actually quite, even the senior one, we have a gardening club, and it is really good to see some of our kids that do struggle to connect and have friendships and do the right thing out on the playground. It is a really good way of engaging them and giving them a sense of purpose, and actually they're developing some friendships within kids that go there that might have similar difficulties or social aspects, and they're really enjoying it. The garden club is really successful. Our STEAM clubs are always really quite popular. So,
and we really want our playgrounds to be a place of enjoyment and joy for children, where they're actually engaged in productive play that actually is successful. So sometimes we have to help that success to happen.
And it is good for a different range of kids. Like we have the ovals open, as you guys do here, so the kids that want to be sporty can go out and play on the ovals, and quite often we have we've got a couple of raiders, junior raiders, which are LSAs as well, and they go out and join in with the kids at the break times as well, which is really good. So, and then you've got your quiet spaces and the rooms that we open up and the clubs. So there's lots of different opportunities for the kids during break time. Plus the library. The library's always open for kids as well to be able to go in.
Excellent. Any other questions?
Thanks, guys.